With just a few weeks until Watches and Wonders 2025 opens its doors at Geneva's Palexpo, this video looks at what novelties Cartier may have in store for us this year, in particular under its Prive line. Over the past several years, Cartier watches have seen a huge surge in popularity amongst collectors, and Cartier's recent new releases, which have drawn heavily on its rich history, have also been widely praised by critics. But with so much interest and attention on Cartier, now comes the weight of expectations. Can Cartier continue to awe its admirers with its new offerings this year? Headlining Cartier's new releases since 2017 have been its Prive line. Each year, Cartier has released a small collection of new pieces based around one of its historic models. This has typically included time-only variants in different precious metals, alongside skeletonized versions or versions with a complication. Back in 2017, in celebration of the watch's centenary, Cartier announced 3 new skeletonized tank centres, including one that featured diamond-studded brancards. A few months later, at the 2018 SIHH, the predecessor of Watches and Wonders, it announced the release of 3 new time-only models in yellow gold and rose gold and in platinum, with the latter being a limited edition of 100 pieces. And so was set the pattern for future releases under the Prive line. At 2019's SIHH, 4 tonneau models were announced, one in rose gold and a limited edition in platinum. These were released alongside 2 larger, dual-time skeletonized versions. Watches and Wonders 2020 saw the re-edition of the Tank Asymétrique, again with rose gold, yellow gold and platinum versions, alongside skeletonized variants in the same metals, plus a platinum edition with diamonds. We then saw a similar treatment given to the cloche in 2021, with full dial versions in 3 precious metals alongside a trio of skeletonized models. 2022 saw the resurrection of the Tank Chinoise, with the skeleton variants being highly stylized and featuring black and red lacquering. 2023 saw the reintroduction of the Tank Normale, the first of all the Tank models that was originally created by Louis Cartier in 1917. Unlike all other Prive models released hitherto, no version of the Normale had been released under the Prive collection's predecessor, the CPCP, or Collection Prive Cartier Paris, which ran from 1998 to 2008, and it had been largely absent from Cartier's catalogues since the 1980s. The 2023 collection of Tank Normales included both platinum and yellow gold versions on beautiful matte finished bracelets in the style of models created in the 1920s. A notable feature of the skeletonized versions is that they tell the time on a 24-hour scale, meaning that the hour hand takes a full 24 hours to complete one revolution, with 12 noon being at the top of the dial and midnight at the bottom. 2024's release of the Tour 2 did not include any skeletonized models, but it did include the reissue of the extremely popular monopusher chronograph, a model that dates back to 1928 and was last seen in the CPCP line. The monopusher variants, released in yellow gold and platinum, featured open case backs, revealing the beautifully finished movement. So, with all that in mind, what might Cartier have in store for us this year? Well, the Prive line at its heart is all about reissuing and updating historic models from the Cartier catalogue. And Cartier has a very rich history of watches to choose from, but nevertheless, as time goes on, the list of viable new additions to the Prive roster continues to diminish, and this does raise questions about how long Cartier can continue with the Prive line without revisiting some of the models that have already been featured. If it wanted to continue in a similar vein to now, i.e. releasing a small collection of pieces in a variety of precious metals alongside some skeletonized variants, I would suggest 2 models lend themselves best to this: the Tank au bout and the Tank à vie. These both featured in the CPCP and included skeletonized and dual-time variants that could easily be updated. However, these models are not the most popular amongst collectors, and in the case of the Tank à vie, is not strictly a historical model, but effectively a new model for the CPCP, albeit based on the Tank Étanche from the 1930s. Many collectors would like to see the relaunch of the Tank à guichet. This very unusual watch displays the time digitally, with 2 small windows showing the hours and minutes respectively, with the use of a jump hour complication. However, Updating the design of the tank guichet would likely prove challenging, and it's difficult to see how you could build a collection of half a dozen or so watches around this model. Personally, I'd like to see a reissue of the tank basculant. However, even if it were to be reissued, I'm not sure it will be placed in the Prive lineup, as that now seems to be reserved for models that have only ever been produced in precious metal. Other collectors have called for the reissue of the Banois Maxi Oval. I would also like to see this, but as the Banois models in smaller formats already exist outside the Prive collection, I can't see the Maxi Oval entering the Prive lineup. There is also the Ceinture, a model that dates back to the 1920s, but which was relaunched in the 1970s, together with a slew of other models such as the Cristallo and the Gondole that also originate from the 70s. Although not without their charm, I personally don't think these designs were amongst Cartier's greatest, and I would be surprised if they were ever to be directly reissued, although elements may inspire future models. So there you have my thoughts on the future of the Prive line. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments.